what's happening, Richie?
Lots.
Hunting poachers, training attack dogs.
No, man, that's old news now. That's old news now.
It's quite funny whenever I'm like send out things to get people to send in questions and stuff like that. You know, normally you get like a trickle of questions. For you, it was I was like, let me just put my phone on charge because there's gonna be a lot of people interested. Like everyone wants to sit and pick your brain.
Well, that's good. That's good news. It's different if no one wanted to ask questions at all.
Yeah, that's interesting. So what's been happening, man? I guess it's since the last time we sat down, it's been quite a while. I guess quite a few things have happened. You've got Don in the UFC, a couple of internationals visiting you, and different outlook, I guess, from the last time we sat down. So like, what's been happening? Where you at?
Where to start?
How's things? How's the new gym setup? Fight team, boxing, MMA, all sorts of things happening.
Yeah, there's a lot going down, a lot of good, a lot of bad, a lot of understanding about like where I am, who I am, what I really want, understanding of the team, my businesses, friends, family, all of that. But like, I think the biggest thing is obviously the industry I'm in, which is mixed martial arts or combat. Gone into the boxing world now, which is quite a big thing, especially in this country because it's so traditional.
Sure.
And within that time, Boyd won a title, quite as the fastest in I think South African history that he won the title, and just recently defended it against a very highly big prospect coming out of a very good Camp Durrance gym, and that I think put him on the map, which obviously put me on the map. A lot of doubters out there, who's this MMA guy and how dare he and this and that. And I still get it. I still get negativity and attitude from every single person in that industry right now. And listen, I'm humble. I'll just put my head down and work. I'm the new guy in that industry and I'm just trying to do my job. I'm not there to cause trouble, and I think there's some big things happening with Boyd now. He's been fighting back to back. He's got another fight now June 8th against a German opponent. They were going to fly him in with golden gloves. He just came out of a 12-round war now, which that
was one hell of a fight. I just wanted to say it's quite funny, like that I was talking to someone about it the other day, talking about the boxing, and it's like I don't know if Brian Mitchell's gotten over the cage fighter thing, but he's like always like, he keeps like saying cage fighter, and like this is why he shouldn't be boxing and like things like that. And I always find it quite funny. And then most of the times he's been on a rant, the supposed cage fighter has won. So you're just like setting yourself up for failure. It's a funny thing. Like I think boxing is, like you say, it's very traditional. It's very like they're set in their way.
Yeah.
And to get like this flood of mixed martial artists in the ring is obviously a bit strange for them, and they see it as like a purist thing versus this new thing just arriving.
Yeah, it's weird because like the other way around, it's not an issue.
Yeah.
Like guys can come from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, boxing. We've got guys from boxing industry from South Africa get into mixed martial arts, and it's fine. Guys welcome them, and it's combat sport. They're like, sweet. But if you do it the other way around, it becomes quite a big issue, and not understanding that we have to train every martial arts individually as well, and try and master those martial arts. There's a lot to it. But I understand. It is old mindset still here, and I'm just trying to do my job, man.
How different has it been, like dealing with the boxing world as opposed to MMA? Do you think there's like something each side could adopt? Like obviously MMA inherited like this, a lot of the boxing, like the scoring system and stuff like that.
Boyd fights for the best boxing organization in Africa, which is Golden Gloves, and it's really good. I don't see anything abnormal about it, and they treat us well, and they treat me well, they treat Boyd well, and yeah, I think it's an amazing organization, and I think Boyd's gonna go really far with them. I think he's found his feet in his love again. Um, yeah, it's a bit weird because you got to deal with the uh, boxing like we have to deal with like master in a way, but we don't really in mixed martial arts. The boxing organization has their licensing departments and BA and IBO and all of this and different guys, and yeah, I'm still learning. Like I said, I'm the new kid on the block, so I'm just putting my head down, listening to people and learning like the administration process and what's right and what's wrong. But when it comes to fighting, we're hanging in there. So
I guess a lot of people would want to know is it something that it's just Boyd, like Boyd said to you, look, he wants to turn his attention to boxing, or is it something that you're looking to keep up growing a stable of boxers and get into more full time?
Yeah, no, like I've trained a guy like Isaac Chalemba, who's a big name in South Africa. I helped him for a few fights, and Boyd's always mentioned it to me, so it's always been in the back of our mind, like talking about it. And then when the opportunity arose, I just told Boyd, listen, it will be stupid. You'll kick yourself in the head if you don't take this opportunity, and look back at it. I said, just let's do it, and bam, that was it.
We were saying on the round table how different Boyd's life would be right now if he hadn't made the jump to boxing, because he would have fought Iga Cabeza. Whatever would have happened there, I mean, let's say he beat Iga Cabeza and he held the title, and you can see what Iga Cabeza is dealing with. There's not like opponents coming in left, right and center, you know what I'm saying? How many fights has Iga Cabeza had in that time? How many fights has Boyd had? And I thought that was one of the coolest things that I've enjoyed about watching Boyd's journey, is that he's turning around to another 12 rounder now, you know what I mean, against an international opponent. So it's just like go.
Yeah.
And I mean, most fighters want that to an extent, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be shelved and have one fight in a year, you want to stay active and you want to obviously get the paychecks and you want to get your career moving. And I think that the way they've handled Boyd, let's say, and I suppose that's like boxing, if they've got a prospect, they're very good at handling that prospect, giving him fights, getting him going, And I think that's been really cool. And I think, I think there's a lesson to be learned in Boyd's scenario for a lot of people, like taking that chance. And it's really paid off for him. And I think that's been the coolest part for me, to see how different his life has become, what I mean? Whereas he would have probably been sitting on the bench, maybe had one fight in that time.
Yeah, story of South African mixed martial arts lives, man. It's the hardest place in the world to be a mixed martial arts athlete is right here. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy. He's happy with his decision. I'm in a new industry and I'm still in my current industry. So it was a great move at the end of the day. Sure. And everything's falling into place, and I just think it's the start. I think there's a lot of big and good things gonna come in the boxing world, and hopefully views will change, and maybe I'll start a little boxing camp with actual boxers, so that would be great.
You mentioned, and something we were speaking about just now off air, the geographical position we're in for the MMA world, like for South Africans to get international recognition. That is a massive problem that I think a lot of guys are encountering at the moment. But what would you say? You mentioned South African MMA, and I suppose a lot of people would want to hear this from your side, because you're beating the drum in the heart of the jungle. What would you say is the state of MMA in South Africa at the moment?
I have my view. It might be wrong and it might be right, but it's my view. South African MMA, I think, is in a very weird place right now. It's hard to be an athlete here. I spoke about it, I think, on the last show in terms of the lifestyle and government issues here, and working issues and stuff. But not only that, I mean, we've got some great fighters out here on big win streaks, but we're in the middle of nowhere. And what people don't really understand is that there's many amazing fighters out there, and it's also not about being the next Conor McGregor generation, trying to make a loud noise and get recognized. It's not even about that. You got to make sure that your passports and your visas are sorted out, and that you have the right management companies, the right people behind you in terms of pointing you in the right direction, not for their financial benefit, but for your career. And in South Africa, at the end of the day, like, you can get signed with big promotions, but getting visas to fight all over the world becomes a massive issue, especially if you hold a Congolese passport or Angolan passport, Nigerian passport, that type of stuff. South African passport, not too much a big thing, but getting visas, people don't understand that it becomes a problem. And a lot of promotions don't want to fly a guy from South Africa, where they're having the event in Europe and they can just pick a European guy or American guy or so forth. It's like same in Asia. You got ONE FC and 80% of the cards are Asians, and the reason is because it's in Asia and they've got a lot of talent and pool to deal with. And I think I've dealt with a lot of promotions, big, small, all over the world. I am currently dealing with, and that's the thing. They're going to say, yeah, your guy's good and we like him, but we can get someone just around the corner. So convince us otherwise. And that's the hardest part. We are in the middle of nowhere.
How frustrating is that for you as a coach? I mean, it's not only the international market, knowing that you've got the guys that can compete internationally if they're given the chance. Obviously, we've got Don Madge, but there's more in your stable that could quite easily compete on any big stage. That first part, how frustrating is that, and how frustrating is it even just having your guys locally sitting bench to get on the EFC cards and waiting for fights constantly?
Yeah, I mean, it's a daily struggle with that type of stuff, trying to get guys overseas, and with all the struggles we have, like we just mentioned now, it's very frustrating for me. I mean, I've said it to a few of, the team and my friends and family about, if I had what I had in terms of a fight team in the Europe or in the US, it'd be a different story.
Yeah, we'd be talking about you in the same lens as ATT.
Yeah, I believe I would have many belts in different organizations, and but can't complain. This is the cards that were dealt in my life, and I'm just trying to do my job and do it as best as I can, and with the resources and environment that I have right now. And the guys right now, in terms of getting their fights, I kind of not try and look at the negativity and bitch about oh shit, this and that. At the end of the day, what I'm doing is, if I can't get a fight here, I'm looking somewhere else to get a fight, and just keep working towards something and going forward. I mean, you can always sit down and talk about what if and what can and how it should be, but what's been dealt in front of me is what I've got to deal with. And with fighters being benched and sitting on the sideline, you can either just wait, or you can put your foot forward and go forward and look for fights. And that's why now I think 70% of my team is fighting internationally.
Yeah.
And I always revert back to years ago, a Fighters Only article that was written on me, interviewed me, and I said everything that I said in that article is basically happening right now. And that is the next step. Is I love my country and I love the local promotions, but can only get you to a certain point, and from there you got to take the next step, and that's what I'm trying to do. Not leaving anything behind or anyone else behind, but 70% of my team, I want 100% of my team to be all over the world, and having a second generation after that. But that's not what's happening.
Yeah, it's such an interesting time, and I think it's we can see it in your team, like the dynamic has changed quite a bit. You've almost gone from this team, there was just belts everywhere, and like guys have gone different ways and chosen different paths. And but you, and this is something I wanted to say. I wanted to add on when I asked that question about you as a coach, how frustrating all of this is. Like, obviously, I mean, we know you get painted with a certain brush by like certain corners of the MMA fraternity, but the reality is you're someone who's invested in these athletes, not only just as like as a coach and you know, like making your financial means through coaching, but you're invested in these people's lives. These are like it's family to you. You know what I mean? It's a lot, and I've seen that. I'm privileged enough to see what you look like as a coach from the inside. You know what I mean? Like, it's quite a strange thing. Like, when guys pick up injuries, like, you'll stop and go and see, like, are you okay? Assess. Let's have a look. Let's, you know, like most big camps will just, if you have an injury in the corner of the mat, they're only going to find out a few weeks later. You know what I mean? It's very much like that family feeling, and it's you care about what you're doing, and you care about your athletes, and you're invested in them. And I don't think a lot of people get to see that. I don't think they understand how invested you are in these athletes and their personal journeys and their athletic journeys, you know. So I often think about it, I'm like, it's got to be tough to have guys like on the brink of wherever they need to be, and it's just so hard to get that step forward.
Man, it's heartbreaking for me, man. Like, I invest a lot in the guys as well as they invest a lot in me. It is a two-way street as well. But like, a lot of my students, same thing. You know, they're like a piece of me. So if they don't get to where they are, or they part ways, at the end of the day, I've realized as I got older, that's life. Like, you can't fight life. People will grow. I have no problem with my students outgrowing me if that is the real reason. I'm always trying to explain to the guys and, you know, inform them that is fine. Outgrowing an individual is fine, and I'm always trying to grow better ways and you know, create an environment for that growth. But life is life at the end of the day, you know, and we can't fight it, and that's what happens. And I think that's just the life I've chosen. I've understood that is a coach. Like, you can't fight it. Every student will eventually leave you, be it good, bad, or neutral. My job is to give information and to care. If I knew this, or you know, when I started, it might have been a different thing. But also, I think my biggest weakness is my biggest strength. And my biggest strength is my biggest weakness, and that's my coaching system at the end of the day. I got to deal with it. I'm the only one that can change it. I'm the one has to live with it at the end of the day, you know. It's heartbreaking at times, but you learn how to deal with things, and you learn how to understand things. And, you know, as I've got older, it's become easier, I guess. You know, when I was younger, it's much harder, but it's become much easier now. I don't take it as personally anymore. I don't try to understand everything that's going on, because that's going to drive you crazy. I mean, the biggest thing, though, I do feel frustrated. Like, we covered the subject, and when, you know, a guy's potential is so great, but he just can't get to that next level, and that's not due to his skill set. It's just due to the situation he is in, his location, his position that he's in. If he was living in the US or Europe, it would be a total different thing. And that is what gets to me a lot, because not even from my camp, in South Africa in general, we have great athletes, but unfortunately they will be going nowhere if they don't put a plan together. And I'm going to say this, but you can't be in this country if you want to make it.
Yeah,
and it's pretty harsh, but that is the reality. You know, there's big changes that I'm doing, and there's big changes with my guys, and being real. But if you're in this country and you want to make it in a mixed martial art as an athlete, you eventually can't be here. It's that simple.
So that's what it was. One of the things I wanted to ask you. Do you think it's like you're able to stay here, or would you, going forward, like, say to some of your team members, look, like, it's not about coaching or partners or skill level, but you have to be on the back door of the UFC, like in the States, to kind of really kick the door down.
What I mean by you're not going to make it has nothing to do with coaching, skill set, the country's athletic ability. That's not exactly at all what I'm talking about. I'm talking about our location and our country and where we are in our environment. A lot of people might disagree, but they don't have the experience that I have. They don't deal with the people and go to the events and seen what I've seen. That to get offered fights, it's not as simple as be good. I mean, you look at Russia. How many great fighters are there? So why aren't they all like everywhere? They are everywhere, but it's not that simple, and I wish people would understand that. It's also got a lot to do with who you know, just like anything, just like the corporate industry. If you know the right people, have the right management, and they know the right people, it's easier for you to get into places, but it's still going to be much harder in South Africa. I mean, for instance, Cheyenne Velismans is been with me for 9 months now. She was fighting something stupid. I think her max fights in 1 year was like 7 fights.
Sure.
And now she's had 1 fight in 9 months, and that is because she's in South Africa.
Yeah.
I mean, she's getting offered fights all over the world. I mean, I'm going to be leaving in 2 weeks with her she's going to be fighting for a title in Canada. But she's got offered all over the world and big offers. And the thing is, they're like, oh, you're still in the US? She's like, no, I'm living in South Africa now. That might be an issue.
Yeah.
Now, that's what we're dealing with. That is the reality. You can be 30-0, and that is the reality at the end of the day. So, I think guys have to just come to the reality of what's going on and be true to themselves. And I'm being true to my athletes. I tell them every day, if they want to make this a career and get to the best places in the world, like I can offer them the training, I can offer them that, but eventually I think that they will definitely have to be living overseas. And if they don't get the opportunities while sitting here, I definitely tell them, listen, get on a plane, go to a big camp, make your name after a fight or two. Once you signed in a big organization, that's a different story. You can travel all over the world, and that's the other thing. I like to see myself more as a MMA consultant now. If I had my guys overseas and they would fly me in for camps, and I consult for them and help them with camps and fly back and forth, and that's what it seems like it might be going on as well. And I have a great team. I love my team, but I'm not going to be stupid and selfish. I need to do what's best for them, not for me. At the end of the day, I have a beautiful gym, 5 militia and Gracie Bar, Sunny Hill, and that's what I do. I'm a coach, martial artist for students and athletes, but the athletes part is a handful of people, and I don't make sure that they make the right decisions for themselves and not for me or for anyone else, in matter of fact. And like being an MMA consultant seems to be the right word right now, because I'll never have an ATT or Greg Jackson gym unless one of those big gyms see me and wanna hire me. That's a different story. But I'm just dealing with the cards that have been dealt and being realistic within this country and trying to make the right decisions for my boys. I've got very highly skilled individuals that are going to make it because we understand these scenarios.
Fantastic. There's a lot of information for you to chew on from the Grandmaster consultant himself. Rich, I think we'll come back to MMA stuff. There's a couple of questions from the listeners that'll be quite MMA related. What I wanted to ask you, I mean, obviously, I think a lot of people's interest in you is you as a person. Like, obviously, what makes you tick beyond the mat, if we can say. I mean, like, we see you lugging that 50 kilo back around with all your shit in trying to survive the day. I had to feed her Rich like a stray this afternoon because he hadn't eaten. So like, what is, let's say people want to, I mean, the reality is people aspire to, you know, they look up to you. Like, what are you doing with that they can implement in their life? What are the things that you do that make you different that they can maybe try to do in their lives? So what would you say? What are the 5 things that you do every day?
Number one thing is I study. No matter how bad or how long the day is or how busy it's got, if I'm getting home at 8 o'clock at night, I still got to spend time with my wife and, you know, do those things. I make sure that I study. I make sure that I stay true to myself in terms of I am a student still. I don't know everything and I need to learn. And if I'm not learning, I'm doing an injustice to my students. And I don't want to be that guy that becomes stubborn. That's like my biggest fear, to become that stubborn coach that becomes angry because I don't know enough and because my students can see that and they start asking questions and I can't answer those questions because I don't have the information. Martial arts is all about information. And in our day and time, we have free information all over. And you don't even, you know, a big thing is you don't even need to travel anymore. You know, a few years ago, it was about traveling. I was big on, hey, travel. And I traveled. I'm still traveling, but I traveled a lot. And as a coach, not as a mixed martial art athlete, that's different. A mixed martial art athlete, I believe, needs to travel and experience different environments and coaches and training partners and all of that. But as a coach, you know, I did all of that quite early on, and I realized that if I'm doing a seminar in a big gym, or I'm attending a class, or I'm online watching that class, it's the same thing, because not everyone can receive information. That's another thing, is receiving information, knowing how to watch something and learn and understand what's going on. A lot of guys, I mean, there's tons of information out there. They'll watch a fight, but they don't know how to analyze a fight. They don't know what they see one cool move. Oh shit! Okay, we must practice that move. But
the spinning back kick.
Yeah, they don't really understand the fundamentals of that move or how they got to that or the mechanics of it. And no, I think it's still a lifetime journey of learning with my eyes and knowing how to take information and put it into a system, and knowing how to then take that information and system and give it to a student in an easy format, not trying to sound like a smart ass and be cleverer than I am. Just make sure that the student understands the information and then can participate the information, you know, can actually do it. And so studying is a massive thing, and learning how to study is a massive thing in my life.
That's number one.
Yeah, that's number one.
Like, what is I often see you with a canister of magic.
Are we getting
tea.
okay? We get yeah. There's a lot. I got a lot of like hobbies and little things, like saying like, yeah, I'm a big tea enthusiast. I do love my teas. I believe teas has a lot of healing powers, and makes you feel good. And I'm a big believer in like Asian medicines, and you know, I gotta go back to my roots, you know. Yeah, like everyone sees me, I'm always carrying on a massive tea flask, and guys always laugh at me. And
is there a specific kind of tea that
man, I've got teas from everywhere, all over the world.
Richie Quan, the tea top.
Yeah, man, I got teas for night, for during training, after training, to make me chill out, to waking up. Like, tea.
You should totally start like a YouTube series, tasting teas with Richie Quan.
I've got a bad obsessive personality, which is a good thing and a bad thing. So that's where obviously my industry, what I'm in, and my career is made me who I am because of that obsessive personality. But
in the old professional gaming life.
yeah, see, and if I catch on to another hobby, oh man, then it's game over. I just go absolutely berserk into it. I need to know everything about it, how it works. That's just who I am. So yeah, you just picked out one. Is you always see me with tea, that's for sure.
And what about like obviously you were saying that like your diet's a problem at the moment because you're just so busy, but like is there a certain like way you eat or whatever comes your way, whatever people bring
right
to the gym?
now? Yeah,
cake and toasted sandwich.
Yeah, right now, like my schedule is so crazy that sometimes I only eat when I get home. Like it's literally that crazy. And it's not about remembering to eat. It's about having the time to sit down and actually eat. And it's becoming a problem in my life right now. I'm losing a lot of weight.
Yeah, so if there's anybody out there listening that's wants to sponsor Rich some pre-packed meals.
And it's not even about that. I could have the meal in front of me, but I'm teaching. I'm on the mat. I'm holding pads.
Anybody else out there wants to feed Rich while he teaches?
Yeah. And another thing is I have to train as well.
Yeah.
So like I can't eat just before I'm going to do like a 15 round BJJ session, like it's just not going to work, or I'm going to have to hold pads for 2 hours. Like it just, so yeah, I mean, food right now in my life is a struggle. Yeah. When I get home though, I get really good food from my wife, and I'm a big, it's one of my rules that I have to have a home cooked meal, and it's just, that's the best thing at the end of the day is getting a real good home cooked meal. But I go savage then. I go proper savage then. Yeah.
10 courses.
Yeah.
And what sort of like other little rituals? Like do you meditate at all?
Morning rituals, that's the studying, chilling out, when I get home, I do need to shut off. That's the biggest thing. My brain runs off because I'm thinking about all the different students. I'm thinking about the programs that are running in all the different schools, things that I have to do. I'm thinking about fights. I'm thinking about more knowledge in terms of what I need to know. So turning off is a massive problem that I've had for a few years, and I'm slowly understanding how to manage it, because if I don't turn off, just like anyone and everyone has this problem, if you don't turn off, then you don't sleep. And sleep is a massive factor in life. If you don't sleep, you become very grouchy, emotional, you can't do your job properly, you can't communicate with people, you jump to conclusions, and you just become a grumpy asshole. So, just shutting off, I have a lot of things that I do. I listen to music, comic books, series, reading different, but I gotta read something that is not in my industry.
Yeah, completely unrelated.
That's a massive thing. Just doing things that are out of my industry and that I really enjoy. That's the key for me. It doesn't happen every night because you get sucked in, and a lot of times I gotta get reminded to chill out and turn off. That's the biggest thing. I also need to start at night just doing a little bit of rehab on my body, because I'm training.
Yeah, we're not getting younger.
Yeah, not getting younger either. But I'm Asian. You age quickly. I don't. I'm only like 10 years old actually. But it's more about the pounding I get in terms of all the hours I am on the mat, and I don't have any help. I'm a solo coach, I don't have extra wrestling coaches and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coaches and pad holders and boxing coaches and assistants. I'm one man trying to do what I can with what I have and the environment I have, and that means I put in hard work, and I don't mind working hard. I've been working hard my whole life, and but I just got to be smart, because if I fall apart, a lot of things fall apart. So I just got to be smart right now.
Interesting. Sounds like a high pressure corporate job if you close your eyes. That's why I want to ask those questions, because I would imagine, I know for myself personally, like I was saying to someone the other day, like I tend to gravitate to like wherever MMA gravitates. So if like I see MMA fighters going to like a certain physio, I'm like, that's where I need to go, because if it's good enough for them, it's got to be good enough for me. You know what I mean? So and I think people relate like their own lives or gain like confidence in your scenarios for their own lives. You know, like how can they implement your strategies for their own lives? How can I implement martial arts strategies into my everyday life? And I think that's the key connection, let's say, for like the rise in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because it starts to make sense in your life. You know what I mean? Like the struggle of Jiu-Jitsu to learn, to understand, it actually makes you strive to do other things as well. You know, and I think it's quite cool to hear from someone like yourself how people can start to like implement stuff that you would do into their own lives.
Yeah, I think that's with everything. You know, we see someone that we look up to, or not just look up to, that is ahead in their lives where we want to get to, and you look at them and you copy paste, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's what it is about, actually. You know, guys try to always recreate the wheel, and you can't always recreate the wheel. Sure. You know, but there's a lot of successful people out there that have copied and pasted. You know, see what is better for you, or what a person that is ahead in your career, what they did, and you just do that, and it seems like it's a good path. As long as you're consistent with it, that's it. Consistent hard work is what's going to get you that result.
100%. Nice and easy. You ready to answer some questions, Rich? Yep, I'm ready. Let me find these for you. Start at the beginning. Some good questions there for you. The first one was actually from one of your students. It's just Cheyenne. She wants to know if you think that she's crazy.
Yeah, yes. Cheyenne is definitely crazy. I would never want to step in the cage with that girl. Yeah, Cheyenne's crazy, and if you fight her, you crazy to step in there with her.
The next one is from Justin Downey, 46. It says, how does one go about developing an extensive striking system? And is it implemented as a format for fighter from the gym to live by, or is it more used as a base from which they build off, or still have their own individual style?
Yeah, so for me, systems should give you tools and not try and convince you to copy a shadow, if you know what I mean. Sure. So if you look at a guy like Anderson Silva and Israel right now, if you look at their techniques of how they strike, it's actually not great. Yeah. But their style is mainly with distance management and footwork. So when it comes specifically to striking, is that the most important is that distance management striking. And I don't try to change anyone's style. And you can talk to any of my students about this. I just add in tools, and I make sure that the fundamentals of that martial art is solid, be it Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, and striking. Right now the question's on striking, and as long as the fundamentals of striking, which is my own view on fundamentals, is correct, how they want to put their hands. So, for instance, you look at a guy like Boyd Allen. You know, he fights with his hands down, all over the place. But I don't try and change him, because that is his style. But his fundamentals of striking is good. Don's got a different striking style. JP, Chad, Cheyenne, I can go on and on. Actually, a lot of guys in my gym are totally opposite, you know, but the fundamentals is correct, and I'm building always on those fundamentals. So no, to answer the questions, I don't try and change an individual style. I just try to build on that.
It's not like your fighters aren't fighting the Richie Quan style. They're fighting their own style, just the way you've shaped their style individually.
Yeah, the system will give you tools and fix your foundation. That's what the systems I've created in martial arts is that it makes sure that your fundamentals are correct and you understand body mechanics, and from there it just gives you tools, combinations, sequences, whatever it is. There's so much to it, but that you can add in. That tool, that month or that sequence might not be your bread and butter, but I always talk about having a primary, secondary, and tertiary systems, and if that doesn't work, you go to the secondary. If that doesn't work, you go to tertiary, and then you reset and you go back to your primary, secondary, tertiary. So that's
tools for your own expression, really. That's a good question. Sam Justin Donnie wants to know, MMA as a whole can contain a lot of different martial arts. How do you go about combining aspects of Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling to form an MMA approach or to train MMA fighters? Not as simple as being good at Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai. So I guess he's trying to say like how do you go about obviously like amalgamating all the styles for MMA?
So you got to be good at each individual style. I still am a big believer in that, and that's what we do. You got to train the styles individually, and then you got to actually train them as one. Sure. And it's hard work. It's exactly, I use this example, CrossFit. CrossFit is actually mixed martial arts, and mixed martial arts is actually CrossFit. Yeah. CrossFit has many different aspects of fitness that you got to master. So how do they do it? With a program, with proper coaches. Every day they're doing multiple workouts, or that's what mixed martial art does, athlete does. And it's about putting on the gi, doing no gi, doing wrestling, do wall wrestling, boxing sparring, MMA sparring, and then putting it all together and how to put it all together. It's a lot of hard work, I think when people ask these questions, they want the easy answer, and there actually isn't an easy answer for it. It's work.
Would you say that that's like why in MMA you see guys having a lot of professional fights before they actually reach their peak, if we can say?
100%.
Because it's kind of like it doesn't really matter, because let's say like guys started, let's take like Israel Adesanya, who's an insane kickboxer, but we haven't even seen nearly the peak of his potential as a mixed martial artist, because there's so much he's never tankered around with. Yes, he's obviously caught up, spent a lot of time doing different things, but would you say that that's why you see guys peak like so late on in the actual fight career?
I believe like it should take a minimum of 20 fights to find out who you are, and that's why I would say once you find your style and once you find what works for you, that's when you become confident in your ability to perform.
Sure.
And that comes just with training, and then the most important is competing. Being active in all different martial arts will help you get there quicker. But for instance, you look at some of the Russians, they start in Sambo. Sambo, when they fight, is basically mixed martial arts. They can get up to 300 fights. So they've got pretty much a lot of experience, and then they have their first MMA fight where guys don't realize that they've got quite a lot of experience, and I just think that it's very important to know who you are. I've got athletes that have been with me for a while now, and only recent fights, we figured out like what their style is. Every fight we analyze it over what they're comfortable with, what they're not comfortable with. And guys can go, but you spar every day. It's different. It's totally different. Also, you can't spar like you're going to kill what you do in the cage. You just wouldn't have a team then, and it just doesn't work like that. And the fights teach you a different aspect because of the pressure, the lights, the walkout, the warm-up, the weigh-ins, the crowd, the standing under the lights, the ref, an unknown opponent. All of these things like build you who you are into the character, and primarily build your style.
Cool. Right, next question. Same guy still wants to know, what are the coaches that you regard as the best in the world?
That's a hard one because what are we talking about? Are we talking mainly in mixed martial arts? Are we talking Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling? Because how I study, I've got my top favorite in wrestling, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, in boxing, in Muay Thai. You understand? Like I look at so much material out there. But I've trained with a lot of these top coaches, and they specialize in usually one thing and not multiple things. Now, the newer generation of coaches, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. They always talk about new generation of fighters. Actually, it also goes the other way around. There's new generation of coaches, you know.
Sure.
How you're coaching 10 years ago is a total different aspect of now. But new generation coaches have their black belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and are wrestling coaches, or, you know, Muay Thai pro fighters, had lots of fights. You know, like there's an evolution of mixed martial art coaches as well, I believe, in terms of they do have a rounded game. But I sometimes see that the guys that you don't know and you've never heard of are great coaches, and the people that you think are great are not actually that great. It's just because they're in a massive gym with a lot of top athletes. And then guys go, but Rich, why do they have top athletes? Well, if you look at certain gyms, and I'll call, say, an ATT out, because they're the biggest gym right now, I would say. If you've ever been there, you understand what I mean. But I've never really taken a guy from amateur and made them a UFC champ.
Sure.
Like, that is the reality,
Yeah.
you know. And for me, that if someone does that, they are a great coach. They've been with that individual since the beginning to the end. And that's very rare to find, because, as we know, athletes do jump around because they either point fingers or they're not getting what they need, and there's a whole lot of reasons to that. But you hardly see a coach take a fresh bake athlete from amateur and make them, say, a UFC champion. A lot of these big gyms import top athletes and then maybe make them 100%, or they're already champions, and vice versa. But who do I look up to? Oof, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys.
A long list.
Yeah, a long list. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to see from Damon Archery. He wants to know, what local fighters do you genuinely think have the potential to make it in the UFC?
I'm be biased talking about my guys first, but obviously JP Base. I just think that guy needs to be given a chance right now. He's got his skill sets improved a hell of a lot. He's much older. Guys forget that, you know, he was the youngest EFC champ. He's getting better and better and better as the days go by. He's a guy that's traveled a lot as well. So he's definitely a guy. Chad's fighting internationally. He's been fighting international opponents since his second fight. You know, some guys are on their like 50th fight and haven't fought an international guy. She's like BK now. He's also one of them. He's on a Japanese promotion, and he's gonna go that way. He's also gonna be a big star. Yeah, you guys got like Rudy Roots as well. Not from my camp, but we're my students. Like Ika Cabeza, definitely. You know, it's sad to see exactly what we're talking about, why he's not there. But he can definitely get through there. Yeah, I mean, that's right now. I think those are the guys that are making it, yeah. You know. And sure. Obviously, I put the name there as well, Drickus. Yeah. But he's already won a belt in a bigger organization. Yeah. So these are obvious people. We don't have a lot of massive fighters that stick out right now, you know. In South Africa, there's a handful of them, and I'm not being arrogant about that. I'm not, you know, some countries have like 50 guys that are really good, you know. We've got a good like under 10 guys that are good, that could go overseas and you know, perform, you know.
Sure. Damon also wants to know, I don't know how much involved you are these days, but wants to know your thoughts on the local esports competitors and pro gaming in South Africa.
The esports,
for those of you that don't know, Richie is a former professional gamer. That's why this question's being asked.
It's getting massive now. Like you go to the rages, conventions, and you see that there is a massive growth. I think there's some individuals that are actual real professional gamers now that are in South Africa. I follow them as well, and I think it's getting massive. Like Counter-Strike's always being a big one. Apex right now, Legends is a big one. So I think we still have the issue that we'll have with all South African sports is
geography.
Geography, and they would have to travel. But the thing with e-gaming in general is that if you're not in pro by the age of 17, especially in e-game, even there, like you've got guys in Korea that are in gaming houses at the age of like 13, 14, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's a young sport. That's definitely a young sport, and that's got to do with the eyes. So the eyes that generate the reactions. So.
The old eyes don't keep up. So much. He also just wanted to know, with a bit of a laughing face, do you watch a lot of superhero movies?
I do. Like I said, I'm a massive comic book guy. Sure. Hellboy is one of my favorites. Anything to do with the Joker, which is obviously Batman. I read it. I love that. Independent graphic novels and comics are definitely a big one for me. Like The Boys and stuff like that. And people will know The Boys because they're coming out with a series soon, so it will be a big thing. But I've been following them for a while. But yeah, I mean, new Marvel just came out a few weeks ago, and everyone went crazy. I was definitely one of those guys that was looking forward to it. So I'm a geek at the end of the day. I am a super geek, and I'm proud of it, and I love it. And the thing with me is I love geeks. Like when I'm having a bad day or I need to just chill out, like I love going to comic book stores or going to TV game places or going to a gun store. And what I mean by a geek is not like what the media portrayed as. I see a geek as someone that is so passionate about what they do that they just geek out. You can go to a comic book store and just like throw a little question out there about a character or something, and you'll be there for an hour, and this guy won't stop telling you information, and I love it because I appreciate that stuff.
That's awesome. Well, there you have it. The next question was, do you consider opening up gyms in other provinces?
No, I mean, I can't even deal with my gym and traveling right now. You know what I mean? Like, I have my gym, 5 Militia in Gracie Bar, Sunning Hill. That's where everything was born and bred. We've got a lot of affiliation gyms, Gracie Bar, Sunning Hill. We've got Apex, and we've got Art Suave as well. And it's a lot of work. And I'm only one man. Like I said, people forget, like, I don't have a coaching team. I would love to have a coaching team. I would absolutely love to train apprentices and to actually have people that assist me. Other gyms have like 10 coaches and this and that, and it's just too much work right now. I'm drowning in work as it is, and to put more on my plate would, I think I'll go crazy.
There's Ntukuzo, Brendan's got a lot of questions. Background in martial arts, advice for older people with aspirations of training. Okay, so let's ask you these ones that he's asked. He wants to know in your opinion, the best striker in the EFC and UFC, and the best grappler in the EFC and UFC.
Yeah, wow, jeez. Wow.
Okay, let's go EFC, best striker and best grappler, which is obviously going to be biased. But anyway.
Best striker in the EFC?
Yeah.
I got to look at facts. Who's got the most knockouts? I would say either it's Zulu or Martin van Staden.
Yeah.
They got the most knockouts.
For sure.
So that just, you got to look at facts at the end of the day.
And in terms of grappling, like I must be honest, I don't like, especially with the let's be specific, you say the fighting crop that are actively in fighting on a regular basis for the EFC. There's no one that really sticks out as like this massive grappling phenom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There were guys of past.
Well, in terms of grappling, I believe JP Base is definitely the best grappler in that in the EFC in general. Like with the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu combined, his grappling is gone through the roof. Sure. And you know, a lot of people saw his last fight, and what guys don't understand is he could have finished that fight in the first round. He had an arm triangle, he looked at me and he smiled and he let it go. And I got so angry until I realized what he said to me the night before and a few weeks before, that he wanted to only finish this guy in the 4th round. And he had a rear neck choke on, he had 2 arm triangles, and he just let them go. And I was like, this guy's going to give me grey hair. You know what I mean? But he had the ability to do that. So.
I think the funny thing is, I think people still actually underestimate JP's ground game. They still see him as like a guy who did a bit of wrestling along the line, but he's definitely, and I think he actually showed that in that Gamzat fight. He's just how much he's grown as a mixed martial artist. His striking ability, his wrestling ability,
everything. But like, let's just focus on the question of grappling. Like, put on a gi, come and roll.
No thanks.
That, like, just come and do that. Anyone that knows that comes to the advanced class with all of those guys, not no gi, let's put on a gi and come and roll. And you'll kind of understand. And because there's a lot of gi guys out there, these MMA guys can't roll. And it's okay, cool. They forget that my guys do more gi grappling than no gi grappling. And there's a reason for it. So, I mean, I would say in terms of grappling in the EFC, I would say JP.
Johan Smas wants to know, I suppose I don't know if you're the right person to ask this question, but any chance of Chad Hanekom fighting Stuart Austin for the light heavyweight EFC title?
Man, listen, Chad's been fighting international guys since his 2nd fight ever. And he's not in EFC anymore. You know, he's one of the, like I said, 70% of my camp is international now. I still got guys in the EFC. I still love EFC, but that's just how it goes. And he's fighting some tough boys now, you know, and he's got a big fight coming up in Brave. So I don't see that happening. I don't even know where Stuart's fighting anymore. But I mean, Chad's in a different organization, so I guess that will never happen.
Then Tiny Strauss wants to know if you can fix his phone. He says you never want to answer him.
Yeah, just tell him to go buy a bag of rice or something. Bloody guy, always giving me shit.
This one's not a question. This is from Finest. The Finest says, no questions for Coach Quan from me, but would just like to say he is the true definition of a modern coach. He's so versatile and it's so unbelievable he can adapt to any martial arts sport. South Africa is blessed to be witnessing such talent in our lifetime. Much respect to you, Coach. Your partnership with Chef is amazing. I'm grateful to have met such a knowledgeable coach and great human being. Lots of champs will be coming out of that university. God bless Coach Quan. #Namanje.
I really appreciate fans and all the good vibes that I do get. I don't get it often in my own country. I get it more overseas. But I mean, it's always nice to be appreciated, you know, especially people don't realize that, you know, I start coaching at 6 a.m. in the morning and I only get home at 8 o'clock at night. And maybe one day a camera must follow me around for a week and actually see
day in the life of Richie.
So see what actually happens. It's not it's definitely not pretty.
Samurai media.
It's not pretty. There's a lot of work here.
Fantastic. This is a hell of a question for you, Rich. Advice for teens wanting to go pro in jiu-jitsu. Is it worth the risk taking such a leap in South Africa? So
this is a project that we're trying to get into. Chef and myself are definitely trying to push through. I've said it before, I'm trying to do what I did for mixed martial arts and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And it's a power struggle in this country, like it always
Yeah.
is, about who's the big boss, who's in control, who owns this organization, that organization, blah, who wants the pride of being the man, you know. And I actually don't want to be the man. I just want to coach guys that compete. But yes, the biggest thing is that the guys need to start to travel and compete. Competing in South African Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu means absolutely nothing. You've got to get out there. A perfect example is Angola, a very highly skilled team out there. I've got one of their females with me for a while now. I know that we can produce some top level guys. It has to start. You have to start young at the end of the day. But you got to go overseas and do the IBJJF competitions and Abu Dhabi and ADCZs, and yeah, we're getting guys that are doing that now. But they need to start young and start doing that. Yeah, getting that. It's the same thing. It's like martial arts we were talking about previously with mixed martial arts. We don't have enough competitions. BJJ is even worse. Yeah. Overseas, you can go anywhere. Every weekend there's an IBJJF competition. You get that experience. You're in that environment. You see the top guys in the world. You start understanding the game, and that just elevates you. You know.
Cool. Take the risk. Go on and do it.
Yeah.
This is from. I'm gonna mash this dude's name. Urbis_Rosh. Wants to know, we were just talking about this, the opinion of the standardization of bringing grading systems to MMA through IMF. TIA.
Listen, we need IMF. Okay?
Yeah.
IMF has made a more professional organization that wants to obviously try and get mixed martial arts on the Olympic platform. Just like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Taekwondo, those sports, Taekwondo, Karate, and all of that are in the Olympics. The Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is going to be, and that's on that platform. That's why we had to standardize organizations like IBJJF and Abu Dhabi and so forth. Mixed martial arts is no different. We don't have a standardization. There is no committee and so forth. That committee is the whole world. So IMF is a need, and IMF has brought such opportunities to mixed martial arts, especially for Africa. If an African wins a gold medal, their name's out there. They can join a big promotion or an international promotion. They don't have to fight locally, you know. I have Rudy Roots, who is one of the guys that won a gold medal, and he got offered straight away after that winning gold medal to fight overseas. You know, he could have got in a big organization, and you know, like just for it's opened up a lot of doors, you know, and it can open up a lot more doors. So, but with the grading system, like, I understand what they're trying to do, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of it, because you know, a guy can do the course and become a black belt.
Sure.
How on earth does that make sense?
Yeah, my argument with it is, look, I think people need to understand the biggest motivation behind that is to get a system that's viable for the Olympic Committee. That's their end goal, and that's the sole purpose for that grading system. The biggest thing for me is, like, I just don't feel that MMA can be eclipsed into a belt. Does that make sense? The same way Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has belts beyond black. There's a reason for that. You know what I mean? It can't be eclipsed into one belt. Yeah. I think it's impossible. There's just too much.
It's too much.
That being said,
I understand why they're doing it. Yeah. I understand it's a business.
Sure.
And it's for a certain business aspect. But when it comes down to martial arts, it's impossible.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, that's it. Carlos the Clown wants to know. He says, okay, he's obviously assuming difficult times have been seen when you have two fighters on the different cards, for instance, Boyd Allen and Martin van Staden. So he wants to know, how do you motivate or justify where you are?
Yeah, this has been a problem in my life so far, because I have a lot of guys fighting all over the world. At the end of the day, I am only one person, and I don't have a coaching staff. So I usually, what happens is a rule in the team that I go to the biggest fight.
Sure.
It's not nice, but at the end of the day, that's what's important and that's what needs to happen. It does get frustrating if people take it personally and hold me accountable and, like make me feel bad for it. But it's a hard thing, man, because like, for instance, the Boyd Allen fight with the boxing and Martin's title fight, man, I was in tears after Boyd's fight because I'm a very personal guy. I'm a very emotional guy, and that's how I coach. So when someone loses, I take things very personally. When some guys win, I take things very personally. And to not be there, I put a lot of blame on myself or Martin. And yeah, there's a whole story to it with Martin, but it happened same thing with Don Madge and JP. But at the end of the day, I need to go to the biggest fight, and it's going to happen right now. I'm going to fight in Canada, in Tokyo, in California. Here, it's quite a madhouse, but the more my athletes understand and respect the decisions, the easier it is, I guess. And there's no easy answer to it. I usually just pick the biggest fight. Yeah. Okay. And at the end of the day, the work has been done. That's what a lot of guys, I think, also fans don't understand. Like me being there, it can make a big difference. It can't as well. But the most important thing is the work before.
Sure.
And that's what I try and concentrate on. I don't concentrate on me being there or not being there. I concentrate on, well, if, say, for instance, I fell ill or I passed away, would they be able to fight?
Yeah.
And the question is, yes, they would be, because I put in the time and I invest in the knowledge way before the fight is even happening. 2 weeks before the fight, they're good to go. So if something had to happen to me, guess what? They're still going to climb in that cage and they're still going to perform. So that's how I see it.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that's fair enough. I mean, it's at the time it was almost like it was being done on purpose. It looked like, come on, same night again, surely. And it's got to be hard for you, man. It's got to be hard for everybody, but that's the key. The work's already been done. It's not up to you anymore in any case.
100%.
You're just the moral support at the end of the day.
100%.
Richie, that's the questions. That's all I wanted to know. As always, thank you so much for your time. I know how busy your schedule is, and we appreciate it. And I'm sure everyone listening to this will appreciate hearing your insight as always.
Yeah, and if guys want to know more stuff about me, like literally just pop me a message. Guys that do know me know that I'll answer every single message that comes through my inbox. So if anyone wants to know anything extra or what's going on with myself or how I do things, there's no secrets to it. I let all the information out there.
Fantastic. And keep your eyes out for the Richie Quan
some
YouTube series and podcast.
Some big things gonna be announced soon. Some massive news, some big names, and big growth for South African MMA, or for me, I guess. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks for your time, brother. Thanks for
you.
tuning in. We'll catch you soon. We're out.